keep it running the whole time we're here.
Did you ask anything?
I just kept seeing the radio around.
You can ask questions. Yeah?
Rich people.
Why don't you ask if anyone's here? You heard rich people?
Yeah.
Tell them that when we come back.
Because right here,
Sorry.
we don't know where it is. Right here, it's where we get
Remember, you want the radio. Slow down on purpose. So that way, hear something coming out of the radio. You might say, Miranda. Like, that's what we're looking for.
Can you
Why
set
did we
right
hear
there?
her name while we're here?
Because that's kind of where we got to play right here.
radio chatter to communicate with us. So when we have this many radios going, because the other two are like nonstop. So they're hearing all kinds of things.
Yeah? Mm-mm. Oh, you got something.
Is it right there?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right there?
You're getting something. I don't see anything. There. Huh. Maybe you need to ask him if anything's underground there. If not, it's pretty good.
Right here. Come on. Let me try to find it again. Yes, right there. Right there.
Go tell it first. Try right here. She just got red right here. Yeah. Alright, so Miranda with yours.
Yeah,
So, by the way, what's the relationship between you and Gocha?
we're married.
Okay. I never know. So with yours, it's also going to pick up on your shadow. So
I
don't.
saw that, yeah.
So it's not a person on the ground. It's you.
Okay.
Because obviously our shadows are on the ground. I didn't really get to fully explain it because I was trying to put it in layman terms for Zoe before. But with yours, anything with leaves is not your friend. So if
seen
it's
that a
a
few
branch,
times.
yeah, and all of the things in front of it, like it's always going to try to make it look like a person, no matter what it is. And sometimes you might just get a square or it looks like just arms hanging there. I do take a lot of screenshots out of this. This one
Okay.
here actually takes me the longest to go through because I do a lot of debunking with it. So I probably find, because I've had this about a year now, maybe one thing that's questionable per month.
Okay.
And that's usually like the maybe pile. And a definite pile is like maybe once a quarter I get like a solid like, hey, we had a reaction. So if you see another person in there and you're not sure, like, hey, Eliza, if that's you, can you raise your right hand for us? That way
okay.
you can actually see it happen. And that's the kind of reactions that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So again, I don't always put that spook factor into, the 8-year-old girl that's staring at me with the teary eye. But with this one particularly, I normally hand the tablet. Like if I have kids on the tour, it goes to them.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Well, not to mention, like, people don't like us filming their cars and stuff, and a kid with a tablet isn't filming anything. They're playing on a tablet.
Yeah.
So normally that's kind of how it goes. But this one is still a lot of fun. There's still a lot that you're going to find that we're like, okay, I don't know what that is. It's also great debunking because the screen is so large. So the other two cameras are smaller. I don't follow up with those in real time as much as I do with this one. I'm like, hey, have you seen anything? And I really want you to work with Goche just because I want you both to be listening in on that spirit box. So I had to kind of go over the concept of it. Like, why would they slow it down for the radio to come through? So I talked him through it. I think he's got it now.
Okay.
It is hard for like people to understand that when they if they watch the TV shows, they always put it on the super fastest mode and then wait for and then a voice comes through. That's still radio chatter. All we're doing is slowing it down so we can understand it and have a bunch of it and then see like, oh, why did we hear that number? Why did we get this name? You know, why did we get this? So far, we have a couple of things that are, you know, maybe something going on, but not like concrete for me. So, for example, like Jake just heard 706, and I was like, that could be June 6th. Or was it 706? It was 607. So I was like, maybe that's June 7th. And he's like, oh. He's like, I didn't think of it that way. I'm like, exactly. So that's why you guys keep me here. But again, why did you hear it? What does June 7th mean to why we're here? So that's kind of the whole concept is. And I love when you guys tell me things, I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know who the hell Robert is. I'm going to write that name down and see if there's somebody relevant that's so forth and so on to the Pinckneys with a name Robert that was born on June 7th. See where I'm going to put all the clues together? I'm like, oh, I learned something. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, but,
Okay.
yeah. But,
Does
yeah.
this work better in like more lit areas, or does it not matter?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Cool. Okay.
So, I mean, technically in a little bit more lit areas, but again, when you're finding like all of the things that you got right now, obviously it's picking up on him so he's in the dark, we can't see him. But if there was another thing there, like another figure, I'm going to take a screenshot and brighten it up to make sure that there's nothing, not another person there, or that's picking up the outline of the post, so forth and so on. Because I do that a lot, and that's normally what I'll find. Like, oh, that's a post in the background. Oh, that was a sign that was against the wall. We just missed it. You know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
cool. Well, it's fun.
Oh, yeah. When we get into a space, keep it running the entire time we're there. Because
Okay.
if you hit record by the time you think you saw something, it's
Yeah,
gone.
it's too late. Yeah.
It's already gone.
So are they usually, when it is something, is it still kind of a flash, or
What do you mean, kind of a flash?
like, is it, because usually when I see it on a show, it's like standing there for a while, but could it just be as simple as like really quick?
Yes.
Okay.
I've had where, like, you have your leg out right now, and I have something standing next to you. It's going like this. Feet together, arm in the air, totally different pose than what you have right now. So, again, it could be in a number of things, and it could be just a quick flash, and there's nobody here. And even in the distance, it's nothing in the background. Like, those are the things I'm looking for. I want to make sure it's not like an imprint of you because you move the camera too quickly. Kind of get the point?
Yeah.
Because that happens too. I see a lot of imprints.
Okay.
But if it's a totally different pose, yeah, we have something going on. Like, that's a little, and it could be just that quick flash, and I have to capture it, play it real slow so I can get the screenshot, brighten it up, and then you get both the original shot and the brightened version of it.
Oh,
so
cool.
I make sure it's still interactive.
On his camera,
right
like,
there.
where is it saying? Because
On the
Like-
sewer, it's
you
like
said below 43. So she's over at the sewer, and it's going up to the red, and
It's
he's
going
looking
all
at
the
it's
way
like
up to the
dropping
red,
to
like,
39
all
or
around.
whatever.
Where is it dropping 39 at?
Well, that's what I'm
Let's go see.
Did you find anything?
It was where she said that it was clearer. So.
You heard something?
Not, no, it was more clearer. Just,
Did you mute it?
yeah.
Turn it on. Okay. He said we should work together. He said we should work together.
Ask the question? Where is the mention?
you might want to move. Right there. It goes all the way to that right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You seen it?
Mm-mm.
'Cause
Oh, you
it's-
got red again.
Yeah, it's probably because it's close to the sidewalk.
Maybe. But no, I don't see anything.
Getting red, right? Look, like,
When was the mansion
it's
gone?
probably gonna go all the way to.
With this.
Yeah, it's not going all the way to red. It's not. That's weird. Look, right there.
What is your husband?
Nothing.
See anything?
Mm-mm. Just you.
That's weird. Cause yeah, I think we should go somewhere else. This place is literally just like a.
Charles.
Just said it. I just asked the question, what's the name of their husband?
It said Charles?
Huh?
It said Charles?
Charles. And I didn't know it was Vincent.
Cool.
I'm sorry, Jake. Did you say to the enemy or with the enemy? With.
Is there any way you can change it?
They'll probably want to move
Like
that
you
vehicle
switch your
when
device
they're trying to get out right now.
Oh,
Even
oh,
if you want
yeah.
to get that one?
What do you want instead?
I thought that one was perfect for you. You just did
Yeah.
No. No. It's okay. It's getting annoying.
Does it say H-E-Y or H-A-Y? Once again, when you're on the stations, the H-A-Y would make sense. Cameras, do you want to go ahead and give your hands a break? By all means, hit the
Anybody here?
yes, no question.
I am.
So yes, if you haven't hit your record, looks like you already hit your record button. So when other groups just pass by us, just grab that top handle, just kind of lower it, and then you
Oh,
get
yeah.
the head warning for all of them, for all cameras.
What's your name?
All right, guys. So what have we heard? What have we seen? What do we got going on?
I got nothing.
Mom.
Have your finger on there. Hands right in front of the camera. There we go.
Baker. Child.
Jake,
You got child?
Child.
I heard
And it-
go. Okay. Anything else specific?
I've not gotten anything else.
Got nothing along the way here? Okay. She kind of told me the heads up on the word list of what was going on there. So, any words being spelled out for us with your word device?
What music?
Alright, so you obviously know that you're looking for an 8 or more while we're in here, because again, we do have lamp posts, a little bit of electricity pulsating through here. So guys, this is a really common stop for all ghost tours. Not surprised, we actually have a couple of other ones in here. So we all tell the same story, and I was actually going to take this out of my route, just because it is such a common thing to hear when you're here in Charleston. But this ghost likes to follow me around. That's why we do the bleed over into the next location, and then he shows up again, sometimes at our very last stop. So I'll kind of explain those things in the event that this stop. So with that said, I'm going to go over the same story that they're going over. I'm going to give you a few extra details, and then we're going to head out the same way we came in, because I've actually been kicked out of here before. I'll actually talk about that, because that's actually the fun part of the story. So we'll kind of go through that. So here's how this goes. The doctor moves. Well, this is Philadelphia Alley. This used to be called Dueling Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. I say some because dueling was illegal at the time, and they had to find hiding spots. This just happened to be one of those hiding spots. So, with that said, the doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. In the event that the two gentlemen with the red spirit boxes hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. We get it all the time because it's also doctor's name. So if we can get you on mute over here, so that way I won't lose focus. And the other piece of that is on your end, Christy, Rhode Island has the initials of RI. We get it here. It's going to make more sense when I kind of keep continuing on with the story. But at any rate, so Dr. Ladd moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancee, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. When we do have a group coming through, gentlemen, you'll just lower your cameras and kind of let them pass through. Amanda actually has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this inheritance that she just got, and the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So we'll wait for this group to pass through, and we'll continue on.
Like haunted apartment that he had.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine. Come on through. tour groups go by us, you're the weirdos. You have all the blinky light devices, they don't. So, again, just sorry, I should have kind of warned you guys on all the stairs that come out of all the other tour groups.
Why didn't we get one of those?
Yeah, I hear that all the time. So, what you got now?
Handle truck.
That's crazy, because me and him were just talking about trucks on the way here.
I'd want more, like who did you bring with you kind of mentality to be able to talk about, those trucks. We're gonna let this group pass through and then we'll finish off. And then we'll have the whole alley to ourselves, it looks like.
Oh, probably about 10 seconds. 30.
Something worth saving. I'll write that down. I don't know what it means yet. So back to Dr. Ladd. He comes down here to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. On his way into town, he had a coachman. The coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It's kind of like having a really bad Uber driver today, to just kind of put it in today's perspective. But anyway, somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. And that somebody walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. He has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Christy's Ouija board device. So this is exactly why I bought that gear, because I was getting the letters RI from regular spirit boxes and I wanted to verify it. We have gotten it about half a dozen times so far in the past year that I've had it whenever I brought up Ralph's name. Anyway, back to Ralph. He tells Doc, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them. You'll be safe and good to go. Doc took him up on the offer, and the two gentlemen became friends. Now, the longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. So, Amanda gets wind of this, and she's moving down. That way they can be married. Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor. This is part of the reason why I hate this story, is because every haunted city has a cliched whistling ghost. So just everywhere you're going to go has one of these ghosts. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Let's get into why they actually fought. Dr. Ladd and Ralph actually used to go see plays together. They couldn't sit next to each other because the doctor made more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He got better seats. So one night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress that they just saw. Dr. Ladd thought the new actress was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly. They go their separate ways. Ralph has friends around town, like I've said earlier. He goes to the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doc saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Somebody's going to die. Keep in mind that this argument started over an actress. Pretty dumb and stupid that someone's going to die over an actress that they don't even know personally. Anyway, the two gentlemen came down here, back to back, took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots his one bullet. He did not want to shoot his friend. He just needed the courage to show up to the fight, which is often what happens at a duel, by the way. But Ralph has his one bullet still in his flintlock. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off and he's not willing to forgive. Doc fell to the ground, his friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He died 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786 after refusing medical treatment. I'm going to point out two things. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than what we know of them now. Secondly, he's a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed because he died. And every ghost tour that comes down here tells you to listen for the whistles. We have 3 cameras running plus my voice recorder. If we're going to capture a disembodied whistle, it's going to come up on one of those 4 devices. That's why I usually say, let's get those cameras running when we're down here. But it's not to say that on, where are we at? Jake and Thomas's device, that we haven't gotten the whistling part of a song and the word doctor immediately on a commercial. Doctor, it happens all the time. So just kind of keep that in mind when I'm going through your data. I'm not searching for it, but it does occur quite often. Now, if you're going to try this on your own and turn on your voice recorders from your phone and you walk all the way through here without me, of course, on a night that obviously we're not ghost hunting together, just keep in mind that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street all throw a whistle down the alley, me included. And especially since I've been thrown out of here. Are you guys ready for the fun part of this story? So, with that, and again, if you will find whistles, because all the other tours that walk by here, we all whistle. The wall, there used to be a wall up here. The reason why is because it was like halfway between us and Cumberland Street. This is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So this used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. So a bunch of cows, chickens, and goats down here. They weren't fried just yet, Tommy. But again, we'll get you some fried chicken later. But at any rate, so the Cow Alley is different because those bricks down on the other side are older than the ones you're standing on. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, and fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way through for a history lesson. We all need to see how far we've come from slavery by seeing this brick. There's nothing paranormal about it. You guys already know how I feel about cemeteries. That's the last place you're going to find the child that made that handprint. He's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. November 26th of 2020, I took my entire group of 10, about the same size as you guys, and I'm trying to give them their history lesson. Like, we're just going to pass by it. And they all stop, and they wait for something to happen with the gear that I handed out that night. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen paranormally. Secondly, we're standing outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying to be respectful, not realizing we were out of bounds for tours. I was still new at this. So, the new owner of that mansion, he came out screaming. My daughter thought it was hysterical because her father's getting yelled at, and she was on the tour that night. And we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I don't work holidays, mainly Thanksgiving because I used to work for Walmart, upper management. You guys like to fight over towels on Thanksgiving. You guys have scarred me for life. Give me 1 second, I'm almost done. So, the next day, I called my partner and I told him what happened with the mansion at the end of the alley, and he laughed at me just like my daughter did and said, "You're only allowed to go down halfway, dude. That's the cutoff point. That's the way it's supposed to go. You got to reroute your group because the rest of my tour was over there. That's why we used the alley." So I told my team that night, because I'm sold out again for Black Friday, I don't believe in the next story because I get into vampires, not pirates. We're obviously talking about pirates next, in case you didn't pick up on that. But before we left, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we're going to be talking about. If I tell you we're going to talk about Pirates of Charleston, you automatically think of a male. We're going to be discussing the female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was like, all right, maybe we'll get something. We go up and around the corner. I didn't know much about pirates, so I told them what I did know. Somebody else heard the number 300. I wrote it down because I didn't know what it meant, just like the 607 that we had from Jake earlier. So the 300, turns out we were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial.
Wow.
I was actually pissed. Let me explain. I have a master's degree in creative writing. Anything I do, especially with this, has to be factual data. Pirate stories come from pirate lore, which was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy, the days of Blackbeard, which is what we all know about piracy, right? That means I have to read more books on pirates, which wasn't a subject that I was too keen on when I first started getting into this whole Anne Bonny tale of trying to find paranormal activity around her. I've read more books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life, trying to debunk all of the things that you guys find out on these investigations with me. So I will tell you that everything that we're about to discuss came from a minimum of 2 resources. That was kind of the rule of thumb. It had to be a common thing among at least 2 resources. And then it is a roll of the dice. If Anne will be there, I'll explain. But that's why I also like to bleed over from Dr. Ladd, because I know he's always around. So that's kind of how this goes. Did anybody hear or see anything? I know Zoe's been eager to tell me something. What do you got?
There's a lot of words been going out. I saw C's, 10, and I don't remember like most of them, but I know I saw C's and 10.
Okay. C's in which way? Do you remember how it was spelled? Can I see
no,
it?
not really. Yeah,
Anybody else see anything weird? So that's they go almost like a seizure.
Oh my god.
Just so you guys have an idea of what was spelled out. Anything else that was heard out of the 2 of you? Nothing? No words being spelled out for us? All right, so we're going to go up and around the corner. For those of you with cameras, if you want to keep them rolling, you can. It's completely up to you, or you can keep your hands, give them a break. I mean, you've actually had it nice and easy. Like, that's a perfect shot, by the way. We definitely want to get you unmuted along the way.
Okay.
And then let's go talk about some rated R pirates. Let's do this. Let's see what we can go get. Yeah, Joe, nothing.
What's your name?
Thomas, you got anything? Who had the word trade? Almost like trade secret. Did you hear anything on yours?
Nope.
Nothing?
Your scavenger hunt over there.
Scavenger hunt.
She did some pirate scavenger.
Oh yeah, we did the pirate scavenger hunt.
Oh. They made this part of it? The powder magazine?
Yeah, you started there and then they gave you all this stuff.
those things running if you don't already have them. So I'll be pretty quick with this piece of history because there's a lot here. So I'll breeze right through it as quickly as I can and slow down on some of the twists, only because the twists can be the twists. We're talking about a kick-ass female pirate here. And that powder magazine is actually kind of what we're looking at. So the little tiny building up there with the crosses on it, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If you don't know what those are, because you're not from here and you didn't take any other tours in town yet, they're basically turnbuckles. And if you tighten them up, it tightens up the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring them up is because it's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. The reason why, that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. Oh, it kind of works like a gear. So yeah, exactly. So, but those big crude crosses that are on there, again, oldest government building, that building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start a new life. So this is something familiar to her. For those of you that watch the TV shows, you may have seen the Boo Buddy. It's basically a teddy bear that has the blinky light device. Actually, Christy has it now. They put one of those in there, so if a child gets near it, it'll actually go off and say, "Ooh, that tickles," and it's a super creepy voice. It makes the whole thing creepy, right? I want you to think of that concept of like the child would recognize it as a toy with this building with Anne Bonny. It's something from her era. We don't have many things here from her era as far as buildings go. So, sorry, Thomas has already heard this. He's probably bored already. With that said, the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government small building? 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you perfectly fine. But the history begins right in the middle of its construction, 1708. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Everybody with me so far? The three of them running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was the wife that she kicked him out of the country, by the way? There's no airplanes. It's 1708. It's by boat. That's a long trek to get away from an angry wife. You have Diva? Nice.
I got inches.
So, they landed in Georgetown when they came over here. Dad bought a plantation up there, but Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell things from that plantation to help keep things afloat, hence the familiar building. Now, let's take a step back to Ireland for just a second. I like to give you her mentality. When Anne was a little girl, when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore that nothing is ever going to be exact with pirates. They say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. So that kind of gives you the mentality of this young lady as we kind of move through her history.
So, Anne from Ireland is a pirate.
Not yet. We're working on it. So, 1713, the building's done. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is excited because she's going to fall in love with one of these pirates so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world during these days. So the first guy she fell in love with, and I say first that way, slowly, because there's a good handful. We're going to cover them all. That's what makes the story so damn interesting. Now, the first guy was James Bonny. You already know where this one's going because I've told you her full pirate name already. And Dad didn't approve of this guy because he's a filthy pirate. So they ran away to Jamaica and got married. And that's basically where she got her pirate name from. Now, when she gets down there, she realizes her new husband is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. That means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wants. She falls in love again. Guy number 2. This guy is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case any of you were wondering.
Rackham.
What's that?
Rackham?
Mm-hmm.
The red? Rackham the red?
No.
Pirate?
Yeah. You're right on the name. It's Rackham. Like Rackham is the way it's spelled. So, I don't.
I got order, folder, comment, memories.
Okay. Nothing yet. So we'll see when they start to pop up. Jack has his own crew and he has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of that pirate crew, but you can't have a female on a pirate ship because it's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. So she gets it. It is a man's world. But most of us are adults here. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She is a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So Jack, hang on, you got to give me a few minutes on this one. So Jack, before she starts to show her pregnancy, drops her off in Cuba. And he says, go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. Come back later. We'll figure it out then. She goes and has that baby, but returns without a baby. We have no idea what happens to the child, by the way. None of my research has ever discovered it. She also comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry because everybody's going to know he let a girl on the ship. So to make him even more mad, she's gonna go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. They're down below deck. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a male. It's become part of the crew the Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, just like male pirates, on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Now, Anne and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not really sure because of the time frame, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to take down one measly pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns cannot take on a whole fleet of Navy ships with cannons. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain in boat, Calico Jack, and she says, "I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot on your communication devices. Now, the judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. So he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge and reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. And the judge could give a damn that they are female. They are still pirates in his eyes. He's still going to hang them. They scream out, "We plead our bellies," because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending because we don't know anything factual about her after her pirate career. What'd you get?
I got joint bend.
Joint and bend. Mary Reed died 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Most books tell you that it was fever. I'm going to call bullshit and say make it romantic. Call it scurvy. Why the hell not? Now, I'm not going to control this environment like what I did with the Pinckney Mansion site with we have to tiptoe around a prominent English woman. We're talking about a kick-ass female pirate over here. Here's what I left out. You guys can ask whatever you want to, but I did leave out a few things just so you have something to work with on your spirit boxes. I did not tell you the names of Anne Bonny's parents. I do know what they are, and they are factual. So, I did not tell you the city where Anne grew up in Ireland, the name of Calico Jack's ship, and the color of Anne Bonny's hair. Everything else you guys want to ask is fair game. So, kind of keep that in mind. You guys can ask whatever you want. We do have a good handful of cars in here, so let's just stay away from the vehicles. The largest orb I've ever caught in 14 years has been with that camera at this location, just so you have that idea. Tommy, with your camera, it will act up from time to time. It's been a while, probably a good 8 or 9 months, but we will see like the old staticky snow, like an old tube TV that'll come across on your screen, and then whoever you're filming, their device will stop working. I've seen that several times. He's like, I'm going to make his camera stop working. Battle of the cameras. Have some fun in this location. Definitely get your spirit box unmuted, and let's see what we can get going out of here. I'll do a few round robins. And you said you had the word most. Is that what it was? And then Zoe. Okay, I want to see your whole word list. Okay.
And which city are you from in Ireland?
Is it not muted?
Which city in Ireland are you from?
What's your husband's name?
Which one? Adam?
Her favorite one? What's your mom's name?
Where are you from in Ireland?
Why are you here?
And where are you? Why are you here? And why are we here?
Philosophical. Where's your ship?
And have you been having a sexual relationship with Mary? It's a yes or no answer.
Where is Mary?
It's 300 years ago, you were 2 years old. How do you feel about it?
What was that?
That little girl will have me talking for hours. Trying to break away from it. Are we getting anything over here?
Not really. Trying to see where she's from in Ireland, but no answer.
Okay. Again, this is a weird spot. Sometimes she's here, sometimes she's not.
Is there a certain area or just the
No,
whole?
just in general. I like to just keep us in vicinity of something that's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Jake heard something, like he heard the name Chuck, and he's like, is that relevant to anything? And I'm like, well, 2 of the paintings we talked about are buried across the street. Could it be bleed over? It could, but I want something else to concrete it. Like, I want to make sure that it's actually them, and they're probably not going to call themselves Chuck. So, and again, you got to know the time period. So,
Yeah.
kind of put things in perspective. I call them Chuck because I live in 2024.
Right.
Right? But again, they probably didn't refer to them. They always probably just called themselves Charles. They probably didn't even go by Charlie. So,
Yep.
yeah, throw that one away. That's our area code. Too easy. But you guys are on the right track. So with this one, the wall behind me is not your friend. It's covered in leaves.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna look like a whole bunch of army men behind me, all lined up along the wall. So do you guys like watch the TV shows? Are you okay? Sorry, I didn't mean to like just continue talking.
I was like
Like swallowing bugs, like.
something.
But you guys like watch the TV shows?
Yes,
and
the show of the 2 guys that are doing those instruments and visiting stuff.
I really like. Is it Ryan and
Ryan,
Shane and Ryan?
Shane and Ryan. They are kind of like comics.
They're usually on YouTube.
I think of who you're talking.
They're
They used to be with BuzzFeed. Now they
I know
moved.
you're talking about.
guy in their 30s.
So the one guy that's a big skeptic and tries to debunk
Exactly.
everything. Yeah, I watched quite a few of their episodes because again, I mean, you should always have a skeptic eye. You know, you always
Yeah.
like it's always going to be like that
Makes
kid
it
telling
nice.
me Chuck. It's not going to be a thing. Put it in perspective. Is it a true thing? Is it not? But him like wanting to debunk everything all the time, like no. Sometimes there's things that just aren't explainable. So, but I thought you were going to like say Sam and Colby. Like you guys are a little old for Sam and Colby. Like,
I've never heard of them.
They're actually what all the teenagers are watching now.
Oh, really?
YouTube guys.
Oh.
And they're joined up with a bunch of other YouTubers, so they kind of intermix their show a little bit. But Sam and Colby have been around a long time. They started off as just being goofy teenagers, but then they started like going almost like urbex, like they go visit some abandoned places, and then they started getting gear, and now they're nothing but paranormal. So all the teenagers that come to see me, the first thing, do you know who Sam and Colby is? I'm like, I do this for a living. Do you think I not know who Sam and Colby is? Like, they're the most popular people out there right now. Unfortunately, they make guys like me, like they make me look bad because they think everything's just a big joke all the time.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, like everything's like just like the Ghost Adventure show. I'm sure you guys remember Ghost Adventures with Zach, and everything's like a big dramatic thing with him. Like it's the same thing with these teenagers. Like they see one little thing on there and they're like, oh look, we have a ghost, and it's like this whole dramatic thing, and it's like, come on, man. Like so, I feel like all I do is debunk the TV shows anymore.
So what's your opinion about ghosts then? Since it's your job and your work, I'm the one that is very a no believer.
Skeptical.
skeptical, but I believe there is ghosts. I just don't know why they'll be here. And if they actually just have a part of the soul that's all that is here, and the rest is gone like everybody else.
So not necessarily. So again, we will get a lot of bleed over from whatever else is happening.
What
in this
does
area.
it mean bleed over?
So bleed over would be like if we have, for example, like John Calhoun is buried on the other side of this wall. Okay, so his sarcophagus is above ground, and he's a big part of Charleston. So is he hanging out over here? Is he hanging out like where he used to live? Like where is he at? Kind of mentality. With Anne, it's a 50-50 roll of the dice. We're just here out of a roll, like hope that she's going to be here, that she recognizes the building. Like that's really the only tie that we have to this, because we don't have many buildings this way. So she would just know what it is because she's been here before. So it doesn't mean she's here all the time. No. Now the Pinckney mansion that we just left, there's always activity there. Do I always know which Pinckney it is? I don't. More than likely it's going to be Eliza. But that's why it's the attachment to that was her home. That's where she was happiest in her life. That's why we go to that location. In the alley, that's where he was shot. That's where the raised emotion of like the pain came from. Obviously the start of his death. But he does bleed over because I'm the guy who can communicate. Everybody's been telling his story for 40 to 50 years. So again, he even shows up at our last stop because we're going to be near the house where he lived in. So again, I don't believe a ghost ever gets stuck anywhere. I believe if they can travel, they can go in and out. It is what it is. I don't know if there's heaven, hell, purgatory, whatever. All I know is all the activity that I've seen in 14 years. There's no denying that there's a pattern. That's kind of how this rolls. Now the tours I've been doing for 4 years, so I've had the pleasure of doing the same spots, and I do change it obviously a little bit from year to year. I take out one, I add one, but most of these places I've been coming to for at least 3 years. There's a pattern all the time, and it's usually relevant to the date of something to them, birthday, death date, wedding day, whatever it might be, or there's different moon phases, of course. With the perigee and apogee and the orbit of the moon, I look at all of those things. Those are all in your report. So I'm looking for the patterns in there to see if that's why we're having more activity on one night versus another. So there's a lot that goes into your report. And I'm sorry, Jake would like to have something to say.
I heard April 12th.
That's so close. Okay. So close. But no cigar. What do you got? I know you got something to tell me.
I got angels and four.
That's angels.
Yeah, I thought it was angels.
How are we doing on with your guys' gizmos? I heard hell.
Yeah, I got angels and four.
Angels, or maybe it's angels with God that he got.
He said it was angels. I thought it was angels.
Spelled differently. When were you born?
That device that you have steady flashes in my camera.
This one?
I mean, yeah, and I look at it sometimes and I don't you see? Now it's not doing it. There it goes. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
And then I look.
Yeah, wow.
Then I.
It's
Yeah.
like a,
See?
wow, it's like a boat.
Really?
But then I look outside the camera and I see nothing. See, it's doing it. Look, it's doing it right there.
Huh.
It's weird.
Well, there's no ghosts around you.
You're here, tell us where you're from now.
Surprised you're getting like nothing compared to the other places.
I'm stuck at angles.
Really? You keep getting it? Oh, it's just not doing anything new?
No, it's just stuck at angles.
Huh.
Have you seen anything yet?
I've seen nothing. Nothing at all. Let's see if there's anything
What
around you.
about the hair color?
very quiet here.
So they're saying that this building is 3 years ago.
You got anything else for me? So come on over. Let me see what you got going on, and then we'll kind of wrap this one up. Did you guys get anything on yours?
Nope.
Nothing? Yeah, this is a quick one.
It said Cody Pan.
No, but the word pants is actually relevant here. I'll explain. So, cameras, if you haven't stopped them by